Olin, and kind regards to visitors to Nemeta. This is an orientation talk for Course 16 on Planetary Tantra. I have provided some text for your orientation, which you can find there on the course landing page, where, of course, you also find this talk. So I invite you to read that text, which is mercifully brief, and then just to sit back and listen to what I have to say in response to the essential need for newcomers to find their way into planetary Tantra. As I explain in the text, I'm in the process of writing a handbook or manual for planetary Tantra that covers the background, theory, and practice in all respects. It will be a complete document. But as I cannot say exactly when I will complete it, I thought it might be a good idea to post the outline of the book, as I've done here, and go over it, go through it, chapter by chapter, so that I can specify and summarize what you get involved in if you choose to engage in this practice, which I originally called interactive magic with Gaia. And that designation, I might add, stands up pretty well. And it has been proven, not only by myself, but along with others. It has been proven to be true for quite a few years now. So that is my goal. And one more thing I can say before I begin, I would put in the form of a caveat or warning. Even if I succeed in my goal here, in this summary introduction, it may happen that you still find yourself lost and baffled when you access the units or work your way through the content that is presently available in Course 16. Well, I can totally sympathize with anyone. In that case, I myself find myself in that situation from time to time. And I think it's fair to say that everyone who comes to Nemeta, as well as accomplished students in the school, would agree that that can happen due to the unusual density and extent of the material that you find here. Nemeta is a WordPress site which is divided into 12 courses, 3 vocations, the special category of Planetary Tantra under discussion, 2 other features for members only, the Terma and the Turton and Breaking News, and other features as well. And I can assure you that any one of all of these components in Nemeta could be a WordPress platform on its own. It could be an entire website on its own. So naturally, it's unavoidable that anyone who comes to a platform that is so heavily loaded with content, all of which, by the way, is interwoven and interrelated in fascinating and instructive ways, might find themselves lost or disoriented. So be not concerned, that will happen. So I advise you to accept that discomfort as a condition of accessing the opportunities of the Sophianic School of Arts and Sciences. And eventually, sooner or later, you'll learn how the system works, find your way around the campus, and you'll know how to go to that which interests you most and benefits you in the best ways in your life. So, having said that, let's go directly to the chapter outline of the handbook. I've arranged it in 3 parts: 1, introduction; 2, practices; and 3, supplemental. Chapter 1 of the manual will take you directly to the source. Did you ever wonder, where does all this come from? What is the source of all of this material that is now emerging in such diversity and richness, in such magnitude? Well, it all comes from the terma of Gaia awakening, which was an event that occurred in August of 2008. How can I describe this event? Well, in the simplest language, it was a moment when the planetary mother, Gaia Sophia, communicated to the world, to humanity, the simple instructions for interactivity with her. Now, I realize, of course, that that may sound like quite a grandiose proposition, but in fact, it is amazingly simple. So the Aeonic Mother, as she can be called among other names, requires of her children, the human animals, to meet certain standards. And these are stated in the terma of Gaia awakening in very, very few words. So the terma, the message coming from her to you, is the foundation of Planetary Tantra. And I have described PT as the delivery package for the terma of Gaia awakening. Terma, by the way, is a Tibetan name that means treasure, earth treasure, or wisdom treasure. So, of course, the intention in the book, as planned, is to contain in each chapter a direct, clear, and brief exposition of the elements of Planetary Tantra. So the entries in each chapter will not be long or complicated. They ought to be directly accessible to you and memorable, so that once you read those chapters, you'll know exactly what you're getting into in this practice and what it's based on. Next, in chapter 2, comes the fallen goddess scenario, or the sacred narrative. And this story is the biography of the living Earth, from her origins in the galactic core, where she lived as an aeon or generator, cosmic divinity on the galactic scale, down to her presence today in nature and her embodiment in the planet Earth. That story is the framework of everything you do in Planetary Tantra. And there's a saying among Shaktas, devotees of the wisdom goddess: stay in the narrative. Chapter 3 is about the Telestic method. Now, this is a special application of Planetary Tantra. It concerns those practices undertaken in an ecstatic trance induced by psychoactive plants. Now, don't get this point wrong. No one is required to experiment in what I call telestic shamanism, which is the unique method of the ancient mysteries, in order to participate in Planetary Tantra. It is an option, it is a special case, and you may or may not do that. But were you to decide to do that, to undertake that experimentation, which leads to the deepest and most intimate form of interactivity with the living earth, well, you would be provided by guidelines in how to do so in the Telestic Manual, which is a companion to the PT Manual. Both Chapter 2 on the Fallen Goddess scenario and Chapter 3 on the Telestic Method bring to your attention the supernatural phenomenon of the organic light. The organic light is the original plasmic luminosity of the Aeon Sophia. And even though she has turned into the earth, as the narrative tells, she still retains that primal luminosity. And the purpose of the ancient mysteries was to go there and encounter that and interact with the goddess in that condition of heightened perception. So you can interact with the goddess in many, many ways, and the practices of Planetary Tantra show you how to do it, and in that one special way, which requires entering the ecstatic trance and encountering the organic light in its naked form, completely free of the garments and the appearances of the natural world. So the wisdom goddess is present in your world in both those ways, as the phenomenon of nature and the habitat in which you live, as in the direct, naked, living luminosity of her radiance, her primal radiance, the organic light. For the continuation of this talk, follow the link to Planetary Tantra on Nemeta. You will note as you come upon that portal page that I have currently been revising the introduction, using new language in the attempt to make it more accessible and user-friendly. So again, I advise you that the campus at Nemeta is vast. In some parts of the campus, some classrooms are under construction, but you attend the classes in those classrooms even though they are being constructed. And the process goes on, and actually it's really never ending, because due to the nature of this material, it expands and grows and develops according to your participation in it. It's completely up to you as a free agent how far you take it, how deep you wish to go with it, and how and where you apply it to your own life.